Welcome back to Simple Sourdough and welcome to all the new subscribers. Today I'm going to show you how to shape bread for some oval proofing baskets and for some round proofing baskets. A couple of days ago you guys saw me folding some dough. I posted it in some of the sourdough channels, and this is the dough that we will be shaping later. A lot of people asked how is the dough so elastic, and the elasticity comes from the sourdough being very fresh and also because there's something called naked spelt in the dough. Naked spelt is a type of grain that we have here in Scandinavia. It's also called Ölandshvede, and it's a type of spelt, but it's not as strong as the regular spelt, but it has a very amazing taste, and it has the same abilities as almost as regular spelt. So this dough consists of some strong wheat, some whole grain wheat, and 10% naked spelt. So right now I'm just giving it some folds until it has a nice shape in my basket here, and then I'm just going to let it rest, and I'm going to cover it so it doesn't dry out on the surface. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to show you how to prepare the proofing baskets. These are our oval proofing baskets, and they are made out of wood pulp. You can find them on our web shop. We are shipping them worldwide at the moment. The way we prepare these, we are using a mix of half rice flour and half strong wheat. The wheat will give a very nice pattern on the dough. You can see this one has some pattern inside. So what I'm doing, I'm just taking a small bit and just smearing it on the sides. And the more you use the proofing baskets, the better they become, because they will just be filled with some remaining flour. It's very different what the people prefer, what the bakers prefer. Some like to have a bread without too much flour on top, so you can see all the blisters from the bread. The way this proofing basket works, when we are folding the dough later, we are putting it in the middle, and it's only supporting the dough at the sides and not so much at the ends here. If you have a very wet dough and a dough that's close to over fermentation, then these sides will help you a bit. But if you are a pro and you have made a perfect dough, then you don't need any support from the sides. Then from the top and bottom, then you only need it from the side. Here we got a round proofing basket. The round proofing baskets are better for some dough that has a lot more whole grain or some coarser flour, because they are supporting the dough all the way around, which is just way easier to make a tall bread that way. The way we prepare these, especially when they are new, they need a lot of flour. And just giving a good cover here. When we're making these whole grain loaves, we also use our roller once in a while. And this one will just crush the grains. It looks like the stuff you use for oatmeal. You can also put that in the bottom, because it will stick to the top of the dough, and it looks very cool when you are scoring the bread afterwards. So that's how we are preparing all our bannetons. Next up, we are going to start dividing our dough into smaller balls, which is called Prehape. So that's what we're going to do next. So now we have waited for 2 hours and our dough is full of life. Before we start, most important thing, you need a shaping head. So if not this one, then you need to upgrade your most important tool. Okay, so as you can see, our dough here is full of air. It has proofed in room temperature for a bit more than 2 hours. I'm using my dough card to release the dough around the edges, because I want it to fall out nicely so it looks good on YouTube. It looks like this. And hopefully it will release. And it did. So now we are working with water instead of flour, and I'm using this kind of old scale because it's a bit faster than a digital scale, and I'm going to shape these at around 900 grams. You see, because the dough is so nice and bulky, it's very easy to just cut. So this one weighs a bit more, so I'm just going to cut off a bit. And then I move it to my dry surface, and now I want to ball it. So I'm taking a bit of water on my hand, and I'm just gently balling it up like this. Taking the next one here. Also weighs a bit too much. Same thing. And in a second I will let you guys come to my side of the table, so it's easier for you to see how we are doing it. And then I can just loop that video, and yeah, it's easier for you if you are working with this at home. So get over here. Yeah. So now I'm going to shape it from this angle, then it should be easier to do at home. So I'm taking it from my hip and up to 12 o'clock, and then I'm pushing it in towards myself and just pulling it out very fast. I have a wet hand, so I can always touch the dough without sticking. The doughs I'm putting close to each other, so they remain warm, just like the penguins. It's not to help them maintain shape, it's just so they keep the warmth. When I'm taking it from my scale, I'm just helping the dough a bit by folding it. Then I'm shaving from my hip up to 12 o'clock. And the more airy your dough is, the easier time you will have shaping. And for some reason I just can't hit the correct weight today, but you get the point. You want to see the tension at the top. Pre-shaped dough has rested, and because it has been resting like this, the surface has started to dry out a bit, which is good. So now I can touch it with a dry hand. That will help us when we are flipping it upside down, because then we'll have the dry side down on the table and we'll have the wet side inside when we are folding it together. So first, just giving it a few drops of flour. Bit of flour on my table. If you put too much flour on the table, then you will have a hard time stitching it together. So I'm releasing the dough turning it upside down. Now I want to fold it into a rectangular shape. So I'm just taking the top and the bottom. Now I'm going to do it fast, and then afterwards I'm going to do it in slow motion, and then you can see bottom, ears, the top, another 2 ears, and then I'm rolling the dough. Then I got a dough bud. So some people, they like to just take it as it is, like this, and just put it into their proofing basket and just tucking it in like this. You can probably see it's full of air. There's another way I'm just going to show you. The top, the bottom. Full of air. Like this. Now there's another trick. If you don't have enough tension in your dough, you can just give it a bit of flour, and then you can roll it up in your hand, and then you can give it a squeeze as you put it into the banneton. And here you can be a bit more aggressive when you are just tugging in the dough. This will give the dough more tension, and it will also have a very nice shape, very even shape. Going to show a round bread for a round proofing basket. We got one over here, and that's the one we prepared earlier. So I want to give it a bit of rectangular shape as well. I'm tucking in the bottom and the top, and then I'm just going underneath the dough like this and just tucking in the top and then the sides. So that's a very easy way to shape a round bread. It doesn't look that great right now, but the dough will even out and become nice and round. Okay, so now I'm going to just show some bit more shaping for the oval loaves, and then you guys will have a chance to just loop the video if you got your hands dirty in the kitchen. Squeeze.
you.